Okay, good morning. We're starting Shin Chav Chet today. Din Chole b'Shabbos. Just a quick, review or clarification from yesterday. As far as the back scratching, so someone else also pointed out the back, if it wasn't clear, the back scratching that was done where the Chazal or Gozer, a Kli Miyuchad, was not, that was done to strongly, with the koach, to scrape off the skin, dead cells, or cells, or just the sweat or oil. Just a little back scratching. It's probably not even in the definition of girud, but whatever. We'll leave that as a question. Also, someone asked about a toothbrush. So I believe most poskim would not say there's an isser of using the same normal toothbrush that you use all week, that you use for Shabbos, but many do recommend it as a chumrah. Because of, we mentioned possible uvdin dechol, but it's such a nothing activity that's done, all the time by everybody. The Chazal will never goes there, so that's the reason. And just to clarify, by thick, regular toothpaste, so there, I know Rav Avad Yosef and Rav Asher Weiss are matir lechatchila, but Rav Moshe and I believe most, at least Ashkenazic poskim, definitely say it's at least a chashash of miruach, and definitely recommend not to use it. Salvechik was matir too. Okay, good. Okay. Igros Moshe, and to clarify, when you look in the tshuva, he definitely says all liquid soap one should not use. He says the minhag is, by most poskim, that liquid soap is okay, but he definitely recommends not to, because even the liquid soap, it turns into suds and it spreads out even thinner, is the way he put it. So, as a chashash, he said he definitely recommended it has to be maybe, but if it's like water or shemen, then I think he said it's okay. I don't know. Let's see. But it's clear from the tshuva he doesn't mind using the same toothbrush all week as for Shabbos, because he says you can use it without any toothpaste. Okay. It's mentioned now. We're about to start chola and refuah, so it's actually apropos. But bar soap. So definitely most poskim say not to use bar soap. We mentioned that. Rav Avad Yosef clearly writes that Mi'ikar Adin, you see from the Rambam, other Rishonim, that using regular bar soap is probably okay. Again, it's not clear exactly what soap everybody had back then and what bar soap we have now to compare. But he says Mi'ikar Adin is probably okay, but he definitely recommends not to use bar soap. And you should only prepare ahead of time liquid soap. But he, and it's also in Shemar Shabbos Kilchasa, point out that when you don't have a choice, let's say you're a doctor or you're dealing with someone, blood or whatever, and there's an issue of germs and health issues, so both say you're allowed to use bar soap, Shemar Shabbos Kilchasa and Yomi Omer. But some say it's better to do it under running water, or in a bowl. Right, so it's at least you don't have no-lot issues, and it's soft. I didn't see it, but I would like to suggest that also perhaps the best way to do it is to get your hands and the bar wet, a lot of water. All you have to do is hold the bar, touch the bar, and hold the bar, and without any rubbing motion. Once you put the bar down, you will probably have ample soap on your hands. Then that would probably be the best option. But anyways, we don't want to make anyone cause any health injuries. Okay. One last thing, as far as nail filing on Shabbos, to file your nails, or using a pumice stone on your skin, so that is probably would qualify as an isser, maybe deraisa, certainly derabanan, for gozes, memachik, and a kli that's of uvdin dechol. So that's, okay, I think that wraps it up from yesterday. And let's start. Aleph. Shin Chav Chet Aleph. Mi sheyesh lo mechush be'alma. Someone just has, a little headache. Doesn't feel so good. Something hurts. V'hu mitchazek v'holech kibari. But he can walk and function like a healthy person. Asur lo la'asot shum refuah. So on this is where Chazal made Gzera Derabanan, not to do any action of refuah, preparing the refuah, applying the refuah. Any Yehudi, even if the non-Jew is going to do everything, he's going to do the refuah, whether there's Yisuri Derabanan, Yisuri Deraisa involved. All this is Gezerah Mishum Shechikat Samanim. It's all because it might lead to tochen, of grinding down medicines. Okay. Okay. So, let's continue. We're going to see. So this is, right, if you're totally healthy and you can function, even though it hurts. But if you cannot function, so then I think we're going to address that later on. Mi sheyesh lo choli shel sakana. If a person has an illness,
you said mechush, I didn't say hurts.
It's the same thing. Mechush and hurts.
Yeah,
so if it's very painful, so there's minor pain, there's mild pain, moderate pain, you got the whole pain scale 0 to 10, but it's pain. If there's minor pain, that's mechush. If it's a lot of pain, and you can't go play with your friends, you can't go to shul, you want to lie down. So that's for sure, there's no isur gzera of refuah whatsoever. So if there's no gzera, let's say medication, it's all ready for you, for sure it's not a problem, matar lechachila. The question is, now we're going to be learning when you can do an Isur Deraita or an Isur Derabanan or a Mira La'akum. That's going to be the majority of the topic, this siman. Mi sheyesh lo choli shel sakana. A person has an illness that a person could die from. It's a sakana, you might die, pikuach nefesh. Mitzvah lechalel alav et ha-Shabbat. We all know it's a mitzvah, a big, huge mitzvah. Mishnah Berurah quotes the pasuk in Chazal, v'chai behem, v'lo she'amut behem. We're all familiar. V'afil aidei eino Yehudi. Sorry, I messed up. Mitzvah l'chal alav Shabbat v'hazariz harei zeh meshubach. So it's a mitzvah, and not only is it a mitzvah, it's a great mitzvah, v'hazariz, and the quicker you are, the greater. V'hashoel, and somebody who asks and has to say, I don't know, am I allowed to do it? Is it okay? Should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? Harei zeh shofech damim. You're a murderer because you delayed it. The person is a pikuach nefesh and you made it take longer. Okay, and you can't even though you assume, for sure he'll live if it takes time for another half an hour, I'm sure he's not going to die because of that. He's going to keep living. Still, you call that shofech damim. If you know that you can make him get better, he's in a makom of sakana pikuach nefesh right now, and you can start making him right better. Don't ask any questions. Make sure you get started. Mishnah Berurah quotes Yerushalmi that says, the Shulchan Aruch just mentioned Hashoel. So he brings the Yerushalmi that says V'hanishal, and the rabbi, his Rebbe, that he would go ask the question, the Yerushalmi calls the rabbi Maguna, because he didn't teach his Talmidim that whenever it's a safek, pikuach nefesh, and it's a serious situation, you quickly go ahead and do whatever you can without asking questions. Gimel. Kol maka shel chalal. Any kind of an injury inside the body. Dahainu me'ashinayim velifnim vishinayim atzmam bichlal. So anywhere that's inside the mouth and anywhere in the body, including the teeth, mechalin alei Shabbat. So we're mechalo Shabbos, even deraisa for. Okay. V'davka shenitkalkel echad me'avarim ha'panim machmat maka or bua or chayotze bazeh. Now, obviously, we're talking about where there's an obvious injury, or a serious pain, severe pain, or there's an obvious injury that happened, or you see or without an actual injury, you see like an abscess. Aval mechoshim ein nikraim maka. But just having some pain, mild pain, probably moderate pain, that's not what we're calling a maka. That's sakanas nefashos. Just as an aside, because we mentioned teeth and I'm a dentist, happens to be nowadays most dental issues again, I don't want to be too mako, but most dental issues are usually not pikuach nefesh. We all know that. People have pain, and especially if you can start taking antibiotics and painkillers. It depends on the case, obviously. Certainly just by bleeding when you brush and floss, that's called normal. It's not good normal, but that's normal, and that's definitely not what we're talking about. What we're talking about with the teeth, it's very severe pain and can't be controlled. And Chani Chaim is also what? A toothache. So normally a toothache is not, this mitzias, a normal toothache is usually not pikuach nefesh. Again, it depends how severe the pain is. Depends if there's an abscess. We're not talking about the tiniest bubble on the Chani Chaim. We have.
Even though it's not pikuach, that's what he's saying. Even though it's not pikuach nefesh.
Okay, so you know what? Let's read Dalet. How about that? When you get to Dalet, you'll appreciate a little better. What? Yeah, I know. So finish reading Dalet and then come back to Gimel. A tiniest little bubble on the gum tissue, like really tiny, that's generally not considered pikuach nefesh. But if there's a larger bubble, an abscess, that's okay. We're not going to. But anyway, let's move on. Haga. Oh, okay. No, I'm not bringing diagrams and pictures of. But anyways, I could maybe. Haga mio misha choshesh b'shinav umitztaer alav har lehotzio. Person has severe pain and wants to have his tooth removed. So then omer le'enihudi lehotzio. So you should go to a non-Jewish dentist, ideally. That's what the Ramah writes. You'll see the Mishnah Berurah quotes, for example, from the El Yerabah, who says because it's not a refuah yedua. Extracting a tooth is not necessarily a refuah. Shlomo Zalman points out, I think it's on Nishmat Avram, he points out that nowadays we know extracting a tooth is definitely a refuah yedua. So he says nowadays if you need a tooth extracted, then you can even have it done by a Jew on Shabbos. The Maisa, it's usually it depends where you live, but, okay. So, alright, so if it's a case where there's severe uncontrolled pain, so then that would be, or it depends what the case is. Really, it depends what the case is. Okay. And if you have a real doubt, then obviously, Pikuach Nefesh is Docha Shabbos, and Safek Pikuach Nefesh is definitely also Docha Shabbos without a question.
The extraction is really refuah. Right. Saying that in most cases, when it needs to be extracted, that becomes a pikuach nefesh situation.
No. It depends. Again, each situation is what it is. But extracting a tooth is called a refuah, a proper refuah when it needs to come out. You can have an abscess there underneath the tooth, and it needs to come out. So the dentist takes his X-ray, and the Jewish dentist can take it out when needed. And again, the poskim point out, Mesayeya ein bo mamash, it's not a problem to open up your mouth or lean your head a little bit, lean back to make it easier for the dentist, so you don't kill the dentist's back, making him work upside down. Okay, Dalet. Makashal halal eina tzricha omer. Now, if you have a makashal halal, right, so an inner injury, you don't need to do a serious evaluation at first glance. Shafilo ein sham bakim v'chola eino omer klum. Even if you don't have any experts to tell you, and the patient, the ill person doesn't know. Osim lo kol sheregilim la'asot lo b'chol. So you treat him exactly like you would during the week. You give him food, you give him refuah, you could bathe him. Whatever is normal, whatever is appropriate to be helpful, that's what we must do. Okay? Aval kishiyodim umakirim be'oto choli shemamtim ve'ein tzarich chilo. But if we know 100% that it's not pikuach nefesh, or there's no urgency whatsoever to deal with it, and waiting will not make any difference whatsoever, asur lechalel, this is referring to a malacha d'oraisa, that's clear. Asur lechalel alav a malacha d'oraisa, So you could have a makash al halal, where you should not be doing an isur deraita, if you know for sure it's not going to be, it's not going to get worse, there's absolutely no need, or if it's not pikuach nefesh. One second. There happens to be a machloket, it's perhaps subtle, primarily lemaisa with an isur deraita. If you have a person who is in a state of sheyesh bo sakana, so normally we do chilul Shabbos for him, but if we know for sure that by not doing something for him, let's say maybe bathing, it's not going to make any difference. By not doing it, he's not going to get any worse, and by doing it, it's not going to get any better. So then that's where it's a machloket that perhaps you should not do an isur deraisa. That's the Mishnah Berurah, for example, is machmer, not to do an isur deraisa when you know for sure it's a minor little tzarech, and it's not going to get any better by doing it. But if you believe it's going to get better a little faster on Shabbos, so then he says, quotes the Meiri in the end of the Bir Halacha, where he says, then you should even do an isur deraita. Okay. Hey, makah she'ena shel chalal nish'alin bebaki u'bachola. If a person has a chala that's not inside the body, so then you ask an expert, a doctor or a chola, or the chola himself. Ve'ein machalin alav Shabbat ad she'yomar echad mehem shu tzarich lechilu. You don't do an isur deraita unless one of them tell you it needs to be done. O she'yatzeh eitzel echad mehem. You add the word safek sakanat nefashos. The Mishnah Berurah and others add that you, if they don't know and they're not sure and they say maybe, so then you are mechal Shabbos, because we're talking about a person who he has a sakana of pikuach nefesh or even safek pikuach nefesh. Okay. Vav. Makash agav hayad v'gav haregel. If a person gets like a large cut or injury on the back of his hand or foot, or you swallow a leech, or a wild dog bites you, or any kind of, scorpion or snake, something that crawls and it bites that can kill, but it's venom, poisonous. Afilu safek, even if you have a safek and you're not even sure if it could kill or not, these are all things that are considered a makash al chalal. Generally, I heard from, again, Rabbi David in Kornfeld, just as an example, if you get a minor little cut or scrape on your skin, when people get that all the time, we do not consider that a pikuach nefesh, but a deep cut, exactly how you define that situation is what it is, but you have to judge it at the spot. But any deep cut is generally considered a pikuach nefesh. Okay. Just a normal cut, and just a normal little item, and then also we don't, just for the sake of, generally speaking, again it depends, this is the Reis Darabanan, generally speaking, just for the sake of cosmetics, usually the rule is we don't do isurim, at least not deraita. Anyway, but for just a little scrape or a little cut, what generally is recommended is just put some, let's say you can just place some neosporin, it's thick, on the skin. Better not to put it on the Band-Aid, and just to put the Band-Aid over it, cover it up, and call it a day. We'll first wash it with water and soap first, if you can. Vav.
You have to tape it down.
Tape it down?
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean? Without tape the Band-Aid down?
Yeah.
Well, how else are you going to put it on? Yeah. Tape the Band-Aid on. Not for today, but there is a question, some are machmer, not to tape the Band-Aid to itself because of tofer. Okay, I don't know the lineup, who's machmer and who's not, but that is definitely something to look into. Zayin. Mechalin Shabbat al kol maka shena'aset machmat barzel. You are machal Shabbos, again, it's pikuach nefesh. If you get an injury with metal enters the body, ve'al shechin, and any kind of boils in the anus, ve'al simta, shvu nikra plunkras belaz, ve'al mi sheish bo kadachat cham biyoter, if a person has a severe fever, or im simur, or with some kind of cold, maybe chills. Okay, it's hard, I don't understand exactly the illnesses we're talking about, all of them, but I'll just point out, again, discuss it with your Rav or your doctor. I'll just point out, Rav Ovad Yosef says that a cham yoter, and again, every case is different, but as a general rule, he writes that a high fever, which is definitely pikoach nefesh, is 104 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius. Again, depends on everything else. Depends on the age of the person, other health issues. It depends. But just as a general rule, something to think about. And Piskei Teshuvos adds, and if it's below 35 degrees Celsius, that's also, or 95 degrees Fahrenheit, that's also pikoach nefesh. Okay. Let's do chet. Mish achazodam. A person, Rav Krolnitz in Chut Hashani says that's a high blood pressure. Okay. Makizin oto, again, I don't know how this applies nowadays exactly, but in the Shulchan Aruch, the referral would be, Makizin oto afilo holech al raglav ve'afilo bayom harishon. So immediately, if a person has an issue with his blood that needs to be dealt with, pikoach nefesh, so you do it immediately. You don't push it off. Even if it started, this is its first day, Bayom Rishon, today's its first day on Shabbos, you don't say, let's wait till Saturday night, Sunday. Okay.
Was it not situation?
What again?
Was there a situation? Blood?
I don't know exactly. It's a problem with his blood. Let's say it means a high blood pressure.
High blood pressure?
So in those days, I guess they would bloodlet. So the point is, Lamaisa, what it means today is if a person has a situation, too high blood pressure, I don't know exactly what it is, and if also depends on the person, but whenever it gets where you worry the person's going to faint or whatever the numbers are, then right away you take care of it. You don't push it off. You don't say, well, let it keep going up a little bit. No, you take care of it right away. Because now it's pikoach nefesh. I don't even think it's suffix anymore. But even if it would be just a suffix, pikoach nefesh, exactly. Okay. Yeah, we'll mention that at some point. Tet. Hachoshesh be'enav or be'eno v'yesh bo tzir. Person has severe pain with his eyes. Okay, how severe? That's a good question. Person has pain in his eyes, and oshahayu shotot mimenu demaot machmat hake'ev, oshahayu shotet dam, oshahaya rira utachilat uchla perush tchilat choli. So with your eyes, you have it's dripping with either there's some kind of separation, discharge, pus, or tearing a lot, or blood coming out. So all these issues that are not normal. We're not talking about a tiny little bit of yellow crust that's normal. We're talking about something that's beyond what's normal. Mechalin alav et hashabat. We're mechal Shabbos for it. Chazal say that the heart and the eyes are connected, and that the eyes have a din of a makkah shel chalal, but inside the body, and therefore we're mechal Shabbos for that as well. Yud. Kol choli sheharofim omrim shu sakana. Whenever the doctors say that this is sakana, alpha pishahu al habasar michutz mechalin alav et hashabat. So it doesn't matter if it's outside or inside. If the doctors say this case is pikuach nefesh, so it's pikuach nefesh, right? Cellulitis is pikuach nefesh. V'im rofei echad omer tzarich v'rofei echad omer eno tzarich mechalin. And if one doctor says, no, you got to take care of it, the other one says, nah, don't worry about it, so then mechalin. You're mechal Shabbos, because even if you don't know, we say suffix pikuach nefesh. Okay, at least that makes it really clear. Because if it's a suffix, okay, definitely mechal. V'yesh mi she'omer she'ein tzarich mumcha, and some say, and that is the halacha, that you don't even need a proper mumcha, a proper doctor. The kol b'nei adam chashuvim Mumchim Ksas, because we're all, as long as a person, is a bardas and he knows, he looked it up, or he has some experience, is able to have an opinion, and therefore if he says, no, I know this case, I know for sure is pikuach nefesh, or I know what I'm talking about, it's a definite suffix pikuach nefesh, so then you can listen to him with suffix nefashos lahaka, and suffix nefashos lahaka. Now, the Rama points out, v'yesh omrim, some say, Dafka Yisraelim. We're only talking about Yisraelim because we believe in Shabbos and we know that we don't want to be Machal Shabbos and we take it seriously. So therefore, you can rely on him. Sometimes you have to be careful with other non-Jews and doctors because sometimes they're just very quick also, but to be Meko. But okay. Haval, stam einam yudim she'einam rofim, but stam non-Jews that are not doctors, lo machaskinu natam kebikim. So that's what the Rama says. If they're non-Jews and especially non-doctors, so then we can't rely on them. Yesh mi sherotzim la'onso she'avor avera gedola ein mechal alav Shabbat kedei lahatzila. So this case is a person is being told that to be machal Shabbos. So obviously, if the person's life's in danger, you can help him. What does the Rama say in Ein Mechalin? Because at the end of the day, the Jew is going to give in. You're assuming the Jew is not going to give up his life. He's going to give in and do the Avera. He's going to be Machal Shabbos or whatever it is. So there's no point for you to also be Machal Shabbos to avoid him being Machal Shabbos. I hope that makes sense. You don't have to, better let someone else be Machal Shabbos than you be Machal Shabbos. But obviously, if there's a real case of pikuach nefesh, of course you're machal Shabbos to take care of him. Okay. Okay, we'll stop.